With the PS4 release of PUBG right around the corner and the recent addition of PUBG on Xbox Game Pass, there's sure to be a lot of new players looking for some help while getting a feel for the game. PUBG is a game that can be very overwhelming at first, whether it's the number of attachments that can go on the different weapons and which ones to choose, or just the sheer size of the maps and all the different possible locations to land, loot, and hide. There are hundreds of tips and tricks videos on YouTube going over the most important things you could possibly learn in PUBG, and it can be really hard to find a reliable source for this information. I made a video a while back, and in fact it was my very first real PUBG video. I went over the 10 most important tips for beginners, and I thought the video, while much worse in quality to the videos I produce today, had some good thoughts in it, and the overall message was pretty spot on. I was just getting started in the game after playing it for about a month or so, and figured I'd share my thoughts to try and help other beginners just like me. Fast forward nearly 11 months, and my list of tips for beginners hasn't really changed that much. I thought I'd update that video with better examples and better gameplay, and go over my top 10 tips for beginners on PUBG, either on Xbox or PS4. Remember to like the video if you find it useful, and subscribe to stay up to date on everything PUBG on console. It's important to note that this is not a comprehensive list, and this video will not go over everything you need to know to be successful at PUBG. I have many other tips and tricks videos and guides on my channel that can help you become a better player, so feel free to check them out. I'll have that playlist linked in the description below, but let's go ahead and get into the list. Number 1. Wear headphones. Never, ever play PUBG without headphones. This game is so audio dependent that you'll be putting yourself in an extreme disadvantage if you're just relying on speakers alone. Whether you're listening for opposing players' footsteps, incoming vehicles, shot direction, or gun type, there are so many things for your ears to hear that will help you along the way. This is definitely the most important tip that I can offer to new players, though it may be one of the more obvious ones. Number 2. Practice in the training mode. Lucky for all you newcomers, there's a training map where you can spawn in as much as you want and basically try everything there is in PUBG. You can try out the weapons, attachments, throwables, vehicles, and just about everything else that you can think of. This was not an option for us console gamers as of a couple months ago, so all of us that started before that had to learn the hard way, in-game with bullets flying. In the training mode you can hone your skills, learn new weapons, and just get an overall feel for any part of the game without the constant threat of death. Be sure to take advantage of the training mode whether you're just starting out or if you feel like you just need some practice in a certain area of the game. Number 3. Get familiar with map locations. After you queue up for a match and you're put into a lobby, the first thing that you should do is open up the map and check the flight path. From there you'll be able to decide where you want to land. Starting out, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with a few landing locations on each map. On Erangel, depending on the flight path of the plane, my group likes to go Yasnaya, Shooting Range or Severny, or Georgopol. At times we'll also drop military base if we're looking for guaranteed action, but there are dozens of options on the map, so finding what place works best for you might take some time. You can try out different locations to see how you want to play the game and where you find the best loot. Our number 1 landing location on Erangel is Yasnaya, and we try to go there every single match if we can. Miramar is way easier. We do have specific areas that we like to target with every jump, but if the flight path isn't in our favor, we just go to one of the many god buildings, as they're called, on the map. You can obviously go to any of the major cities and find some decent gear, but if you want a low risk, high reward start to your match, find a couple god buildings to loot, and you almost always come out with items that you need. I made a video going over these buildings and where they are located on the map a while back, so I'll put a card in the top right portion of the screen right now so you can check that out at a different time. It's a very useful video and it goes over just about everything that you need to know about these buildings, where they're located, what kind of loot you can expect, and why they're so great. The much smaller map, Sanhok, is even easier than Miramar to decide. Basically anywhere that you go can have top tier loot. Literally anywhere. If you're looking for a fight right off the bat, try Boot Camp or Paradise Resort. If you want to take the match a little slower, jump as far away from the plane as you possibly can and just loot everything possible. I like to go to the unmarked locations the most as they provide good loot with little resistance to start the match. However, I also like to drop Mangnai at times and Boot Camp if I want to go for high kill games. The beauty of Sanhok is that action is always right around the corner no matter where you land. Number 4. Look around while parachuting. While flying down to the ground and parachuting, you should not only be watching your descent and landing location, but you should also be panning the camera around to see where others are landing. You'll be able to determine if you have a few minutes to get geared up, or if you have someone right on you and need to get a weapon as soon as possible so you can defend yourself. Looking around while parachuting is an easy but very important thing to do, as it will limit the chances of you getting surprised early game. Number 5. Loot wisely. Really, there's 2 different ways that you loot when you first land in PUBG. Frantically trying to find a gun to kill the person that landed right next to you, or safely taking your time to find as much loot as you possibly can. This all depends on where you land and if others are in your area. I'd say either way, this is the order that you should be looting in. First you want to find a gun, and then you want to find some armor, a backpack, healing, attachments, and grenades. Backpacks will allow you to carry more inventory, and helmets and vests will help protect you in a gunfight. The vest also adds some inventory space, so it's a great pickup early on while looting. It's very important to only pick up loot that you want or you need for your weapons. If you have an AR and a sniper, it'd be foolish to carry around a bunch of SMG and shotgun attachments and ammo that you won't be using. That'll eat up your inventory space and make it harder to loot properly. However, say you have an AR and a shotgun, but you really want to find a sniper later on. It might be wise to make some room for the items that you find that can attach to a sniper. Like everything in PUBG, there's a give and take to what loot you decide to keep, and those decisions can either win you the match or cost you everything. I also wanted to make a quick mention of the different tiers of loot in PUBG. There's no rarity system with colors or anything like that, but instead there's level 1, level 2, and level 3 gear. They do what you expect. A level 3 backpack can hold much more than a level 1, and a level 3 vest can withstand much more damage than a level 1. The highest tier helmet that you can find in the wild is the level 2, with level 3 helmets only dropping in care packages. These are things that you'll learn along the way as you get familiar with the game, but it's important to know the ranking order from the get-go. Number 6. Pay attention to the circle. After surviving the first few minutes, you'll get an indication of where the first circle will be on the map. When this indication is given, you'll also be told how long you have until the blue zone starts to creep in. How far you are away from the circle will help you determine how fast you need to get moving. If you're close, you can loot for a while longer, but if it's all the way across the map, it's a good idea to get as much as you can and get going. After each circle, the blue zone hurts more and more, with the late game blue zones killing you in about 10 seconds or less. So spending a lot of time in the blue is a bad idea. Both Erangel and Miramar are huge maps and therefore will be harder to traverse if you have to go on foot to the circle. It can take you more than 16 minutes to run across the map of Erangel side to side, and even longer on Miramar with the terrain. Sanhok is a quarter of the size, so it's less damning, but either way, it's important to get to the circle without taking damage from the blue if you can. If you get caught in the blue for too long, it can kill you, especially later on in the match. Or it can cause you to use a majority of your healing items, making you an easier target later on. Now number 6 is a really perfect segue into the next tip. Number 7. Find a vehicle. Less important on Sanhok since you usually can run to whatever circle you need to, but finding a vehicle is very important in PUBG. Unless you're already in the safe zone, you'll be able to get across the map much faster and safer, allowing you to go across open fields without the high risk of getting picked off. It's obviously still possible to get shot out of a vehicle, but way less likely on console. The best place to find a vehicle is near a road, so if you're running to the zone and you have a long way to go, it's probably beneficial to stay close to a road in hopes of finding a vehicle of some kind. There are different types, even different ones based on the map that you're on, but all of them will be better than running for minutes at a time in the blue. Number 8. Check your surroundings constantly. In PUBG, it's always important to watch your back. While moving or while staying put in a location, constantly check your surroundings for threats. It's easy for players to sneak up on you if you're not looking around, and this is especially true when running to the zone. I've followed enemies for a couple minutes at a time without them even noticing me, and ultimately was able to wipe them from the match without a fight. To do this, while running, you can pan your camera around by holding the right bumper button on Xbox or the R1 button on PS4. This is a very simple thing to do, but can make a huge difference in spotting enemies and surviving. Number 9. Only shoot if you have to, or if you can get the kill. PUBG is a game of combat and survival, but mostly it's about being the last player or team standing. In order to do that, you may need to pick your spots and shoot wisely. If an enemy is far off in the distance, it may be best just to monitor their movement and keep an eye on where they go. If they stop and you know you can take them out, go for it, but just know that you shooting your weapon allows other players to pinpoint your location. Even if you get the kill, you may have just told 2 people close to you exactly where you are and what gun you have. Valuable information to give up, especially late game. Shooting at an enemy with no chance of securing the kill is not only a waste of resources, but a bad strategy for survival. And last but certainly not least, number 10. Never stop moving, especially while looting. What's easier to shoot, a moving target or a stationary target? Watch any experienced PUBG player and you'll notice how much they move. They move while they're looting, while they're staying in one location, while healing. Basically, they just never stop. And this is due to the fact that there can always be someone with an 8x scope just waiting for the second you decide to pause. And in that instant, you're headed back to the lobby. There's obviously places you know you're safe where nobody could shoot you, but if you're out in the open or looting a body, keep your left joystick moving at all times because you never know what danger is lurking. My favorite time to shoot is when they stand still. And there you have it, those were the 10 most important tips for beginners on PUBG. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're a PS4 player firing up the game for the very first time, or an Xbox player that just downloaded the game recently. These tips will help everyone equally, as the controls and gameplay will be the same. I've put over 400 hours into PUBG so far, and I don't consider myself an expert still. But I love the game, and I love helping others enjoy it as well. I have 5 other tips and tricks videos going over 70 tips and tricks in total, so be sure to watch those if you're getting started, so you can improve your game and enhance your experience. I'm not going to lie, PUBG can be a very frustrating game to learn, as the smallest mistake can cost you a match, not to mention 20 to 30 minutes of your time. But it's by far and away the most satisfying multiplayer game I've ever played. And when you make that perfect shot, or when you get that chicken dinner, there's nothing really like it. And that's what makes it so attractive to players despite its flaws. I hope these tips will help you get started and make the transition to a new game a little bit less stressful and less confusing. If you found the video useful in any way, definitely give it a like and subscribe to stay up to date on everything PUBG on console. Remember to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord, the links are in the description below. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Until next time, I'll see you later.